Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and in this video I'm trying out something a bit different. I am officially starting a new series called Explosive E-commerce Growth, where I'm going to be dissecting some of the most successful e-commerce brands to this date and what they did to get to where they're currently at. The strategies they use, I'm going to be talking about the founders, the whole story, and really just breaking everything down to its fundamentals so that by the end of the presentation it's very clear how they got to where they're currently at. And so by the end as well, you can take some of the strategies that I'm going to cover today and you can implement them in your own e-commerce business, or, and this will be most of you, especially if you're watching this channel, you can take the strategies and apply it for your clients, for your own e-commerce agency. So really looking forward to this series. I think it's going to be of a ton of value to a lot of you who have e-commerce agencies. And even if you have an agency that is really not in the e-commerce space, this will still be of insane value. And if you have an e-commerce business, this will also be of insane value. And you'll be able to immediately implement some of the strategies that I'll cover here and kind of funnel hack these brands to get insane results for your own brands. Now, before we get right into it, a little bit about me. My name is Jaime and I own an e-commerce agency helping some of the leading e-commerce brands scale to 7 and 8 figures using paid ads in the fastest, most profitable way. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The brand we're going to be dissecting today is HiSmile. You might have seen them. You might have seen some of their ads probably. And I'm going to be diving deep into the data and revealing how they grew from 20K, which was the initial investment for the brand, to 100 million in just 4 years. So without further ado, let's get started. In this presentation, I will cover the top HiSmile growth strategies and how you can apply them to your business and your agency for your clients. So here is what we're going to cover. Number one, influencer marketing, how to get influencers on board and contact high profile people, leverage their audience for a 10x return on investment. And just some of the returns that HiSmile is getting with their influencer marketing is honestly insane. Now, the next thing is omnipresence with paid ads, how HiSmile turbocharge their growth by staying in front of potential customers. And the final thing is social media marketing, the third key to HiSmile's explosive success and what they do to retain loyal customers and have true longevity as a brand. Little heads up, there will be a little bonus at the end, so definitely stick around till the end for that. Now, the first thing is influencer marketing. You guys might have seen a lot of their ads, especially if you're in their demographic, but one of the things that they are known for is that they're working with a limited budget, right? And especially as they were starting out, what they focus on was providing value and giving top-notch product to smaller influencers first, and just completely for free, right? Because they have such a great product, they almost got this flywheel effect where it was just such a great product and so innovative, and not many people were doing this. Obviously, there's been a lot of knockoff brands that have come around since then, but not many brands were doing this, and obviously people were wanting to try it. And not only that, but the way the flywheel effect worked is once the smaller influencers started seeing it on big influencers, which I'll talk about in just a second, like Kylie Jenner or Conor McGregor, they wanted to be part of that movement. They wanted to align themselves with top-notch brands that were really shaking up the market. So that's really the first thing that they did. They had an insane focus on getting their product to as many people as possible, and really just building this movement and tribe almost around their product, making it kind of like a lifestyle thing. The next thing is getting big names. So they built up to this. They then focused on the big names. And some of the research that my team and I did, we saw that the Kylie Jenner contract that they signed, it took them around 6 months to do that. Going back and forth with Kylie Jenner, making sure that Kylie Jenner aligned with the product, that she really liked it, that she really believed in it, until they finally did it. And the same thing with Conor McGregor. I think they flew to Vegas for one of his fights, and then they started the partnership. They started the conversation there, and then it carried through until he finally became a sponsor of their brand. So long story short, they really made sure that their marketing was in place and that they had an amazing product before reaching out to these big names. This actually allowed them to get better leverage and an edge over competitors, because most of their competitors were paying higher budgets and higher rates for medium-sized influencers. But as I said, they got a lot of attention completely for free because they just had such an amazing product. And so that's what they really focus on. And then they went for the bigger names. I see a lot of brands, coming out in the e-commerce space, right? They have a good chunk of money to invest right into it, and they go straight for the big names. And sure, that's going to get you a lot of traffic and attention, but the conversion rates are not going to be as high because number one, your product is not quite there. Number two, you haven't really built a brand, a tribe, a movement of people around the product. You haven't really built user-generated content from real people, not just big names, and that leads to higher conversion. So that is the second thing that they did. And the third thing is measuring ROI. So typically results are 10x because what they did is, sure, with influencer marketing, the drawback is the fact that there's not a very clear ROI unless obviously they have a tracking link, etc., etc. And so there you can kind of track the ROI, but it's not as clear cut as for something like Facebook ads, right? What they did though is they repurposed influencer content on their platforms for their ads, for their organic content for their platforms, and there they could measure a much more clear ROI. And if you see some, most of their ads, sure, a lot of them are user-generated content, which is just real people, right? But a lot of them are influencers, and then building social proof by saying, hey, Kylie Jenner or Kim Kardashian or Conor McGregor has, used this device. And so that's really the first thing that we noticed, the influencer marketing side of things. The second thing is omnipresence with paid ads, and this is really what we love at MoC, because our passion is building brands online through the power of paid ads. And so the first thing that they did is paid keywords. So what they did is they would show ads to potential customers searching for teeth whitening products, and that's how they almost reigned supreme for this space, because when it came to the keywords, they were there, right? And they got that initial mover advantage as well, which gave them a massive edge when they made this almost a trend, right? And people were searching for teeth whitening products. And so when it became a trend, they were the go-to brand because they had bought a lot of keywords and they were doing quite a lot of SEO. When it came to the audience targeting, and I won't get very specific into the Facebook ads ninja stuff, but for the targeting, basically, what we read is that they started pretty small when it came to the targeting. I think they were targeting purely women from age, I think it was 18 to around 25. And then by changing up the story and the ad copy and kind of their unique selling point, they started broadening their targeting. One of the main changes that they did was they started appealing to men, because prior to that, there didn't seem to be a massive demand from the male market for these type of products. But then they realized that this trend was also catching up to the male audience, and men, just like women, wanted to have a perfect smile, because one of the things that they conveyed is that a nice smile is one of the first things that a woman looks at and picks up on a man. So that is the second thing. And the final thing is retargeting. So the thing about what HiSmile is that they have an incredible retargeting system in place. They have pure omnipresence when it comes to their paid ads, right? If you go on their Instagram, you can get retargeting pretty much everywhere. On apps, you're gonna get retargeting on Audience Network, Facebook, Instagram, and they have just insane retargeting in place. They have Snapchat ads, and so they have complete omnipresence across all social media platforms. And for example, for our clients, I actually don't recommend they do this at the start, because we want to narrow down on one single platform, get that very profitable, and then expand out, right? Because you don't want to tap into all platforms if you don't know what the winning, front-end offer is. For example, the winning targeting is. Once you have a very clear idea of what that looks like, for example, on Facebook ads, then you can tap into other platforms and just kind of duplicate your success, right? But as we can see here, the retargeting system that they had is just insane. Retargeting ads typically perform 10x better and 76% more likely to get clicked than a cold audience. What they did is there are videos of influencers and testimonials from real customers. If that didn't get a sale, then those customers would be put straight into this retargeting system that would predictably churn up customers on pretty much on autopilot. So that is the second thing. And here we just have a few results from their Instagram ad campaigns. So we've got a 5x return on ad spend, 90% increase in male customers. So that's what I was talking about. And that was a really big win for them. And the fact that they just broadened up their audience, and that's really what made them have such a huge growth. I think in the third year they had something like 40 million in revenue, and then they just scaled up to 100 million. It was referred to as the doubling rule, playing to their advantage, but we can see that was a really big move for them, and quite important for their growth. And 40 million is the number of 18 to 24-year-olds reached, and so that is a lot of people that have seen their products. When it comes to Facebook, 11x lower cost per purchase compared to other channels, almost a 10x return on ad spend, which is pretty crazy, and a 21% higher click-through rate compared to other platforms. So that's why that's why I love Facebook ads. In my opinion, it is the best service to offer clients if you guys are an agency, and if you're an e-commerce brand. From what we've seen, my team and I at MoC, it is by far the best platform, really where you can get the highest returns on investments, and where you can see the most profitable growth. So the next thing is a big thumbs up. If you guys are enjoying this video, go ahead and drop a big thumbs up. It really helps the channel a ton, and I'd really appreciate it. So go ahead and drop a big thumbs up, and let's get back into it. The final thing is social media marketing. Now, first things first is the power of story. And this is one of the things that we are very bullish on at MoC, my agency, is the storytelling side of things, right? There's so many brands, and this is particularly important for e-commerce brands. If you want to sell a product, you need to tell a story, especially when it comes to social media, right? When people hop on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, whatever it is, they are there to read stories about their family, their friends, their pets, whatever it is, right? They are there to be entertained. They're not there to read some business ad, right? They are there to be entertained, to read stories, to really read captivating and compelling stories. And so when you can tell a story, hook them in, tap into their pain points, trigger their emotions, then it is much easier to sell a product, okay? Because essentially people need to buy into the story before they buy a product. And not only that, but we want them to buy not just a product, but into the brand. And that's what, HiSmile has done really well, and some of the best e-commerce brands have done really well, is the fact that people are not just buying a product, they are buying into the brand. And that is a massive difference. And that's one of the things that we tell our clients a lot, is the fact that, sure, we want to get a lot of sales with our Facebook ads, but we want to have true longevity. We want to have a client that doesn't just buy once, but we want to make sure that we increase that lifetime value of that customer, so that there's a very clear strategy on how to have them replenish the product. And if it's not a high replenishment rate product, how can we get them to come back and win them over again and again and again? Or how can we get them to refer us to other people if it's just kind of like a one-off thing, right? So that is the first thing. They really built a great story and lifestyle around a seamless, boring product. And that's one of the things that they did amazingly well, is that they took a very boring industry and they had a just complete spin on it, right? And they made it fun. They made it appealing. They made it exciting, right? And so that's really the first thing that we that they did when it came to social media. The second thing is real results. So HiSmile spends 10 million per year on social media marketing. The result, explosive growth, right? And that, at the end of the day, like that's one of the things that you will realize from this presentation. The way they were able to build the brand in such profitable and fast manner was by tapping into the power of social media marketing, with influencer marketing, with paid ads, etc. And it gives you just an idea of the insane potential of paid ads and social media marketing. And that is why, if you build an agency, you should be very excited for your clients, right? It's really the reason why when I pitch my service, I'm just so incredibly excited, because I know the insane value of tapping into these social media channels and just the insane growth that you can see if you do it well, right? And so if you can convey the insane value that these channels can have in their growth, the product and the service that you're selling to clients, it actually almost sells itself, right? So that is really the second thing. And the final thing is brand loyalty. Monthly rolling profit from recurring purchases is envisioned to be HiSmile's #1 income stream. Their social media keeps customers coming back. And that's really a massive key to HiSmile's success and to this type of business model. The fact that not only do they acquire a customer at a very cheap rate and maybe they get a 10x return on their investment on that front end offer, but this is a recurring purchase, right? Most people have a monthly subscription and it's rolling month by month. And so the lifetime value of a HiSmile customer is quite high. It's not just the front end offer, right? So they're extremely profitable on the front end, but then on the back end, it's just insane, right? And so it kind of allows them to bully the competition, because they can just outspend the competition on the front end offer, right? Which they're doing, I'm sure, because they know that the back end value is so strong, right? And so that is, one of the things that they've done amazingly well. Not only do they have these monthly recurring purchases, but they also have new customers coming through the door pretty much on autopilot. And that is a very blissful position to be in, because you have that predictability for your business. The fact that there's this many customers that are gonna renew their subscription this month, and that's gonna mean X for your business, right? And you're not having to rely on new customers every single time. So that's really the brand loyalty. And the final thing that I will say on that is that it lends itself to incredible brand loyalty, where people just keep telling their friends about it, and it really builds this movement around the brand. So that is social media marketing. And the final thing is a few other points. So as I said, they tapped into new demographics, and this is one of the things that they were really good at. The fact that they saw this demographic working, and then they said, okay, how can we tell a different story and tap into other demographics and grow the brand that way, right? They didn't just stay on one single demographic, and that's where I see a lot of e-commerce brands as well fall short, is the fact that, sure, you might have dominated one single demographic, but what can you do to maybe switch the story around, but tap into new demographics, add value to new segments and cohorts of people, right? And so originally, a HiSmile demographic was mostly women, 15 to 24, but now they're experiencing the same success with male millennials on social media. And as I said, that was a really, really big move for them. The next thing is engagement. So HiSmile builds really strong social media engagement by reliably posting regularly, keeping their audience connected. It's really just a whole new way of building a brand, and they've just completely done it purely online, and they've built a movement, as I said, right? They built this organic audience, and so not only do they have this paid ads and tapping into a cold audience, but they also have this very strong organic audience. And so while competitors are paying for that traffic, they own that traffic, and they can send that traffic to new offerings, new products, etc., etc. And so anything that they make from that is ROI positive, because they own that audience. And the final thing is social sharing. So strong content strategy creates shareability, and that's one of the things that they've had insane success with, that viral component, right? The fact that People would tell their friends about it, even if they didn't buy, right? They would tell their friends about it, and it really helped that it is one of those purchases that you can just buy immediately, that it's kind of like an impulse purchase. You don't have to really think about it that much. So that is social media marketing. And the final thing is a little bonus for those of you who have stayed until the end, which is the founders. And this is one of the things that really excites me as an entrepreneur myself, to really just read about the founders and hear their story and really the way they think. Because if they've built a $100 million company at the age of, and you guys will see at the age of 24 and 22, we've got Alex and Nick, they must be doing something right? I'd really love to just pick their brain and really just watch some of the interviews that they've done to understand how they think about building a brand online. And I boil their success down to 3 things. The first thing is thinking long-term. And this is one of the things that I preach all the time to my e-commerce clients. And one of the things that I preach all the time to my students, building agencies, the fact that, look, most people think so short-term that by just thinking long-term, you are bound to get the easiest edge you can get in business, right? Just think a bit long-term. And for an agency, quite frankly, you don't have to think, 10 years from now, because it's simply just a cash flow business that's going to generate incredible cash. It's not the type of business like a HiSmile. We're not trying to build a top 5 business in the world like they are. But at the same time, thinking long-term is also going to add massive value to your agency, knowing that if you just start small, building incredible authority, incredible social proof, and getting medium-sized clients, incredible results, then you can go for the larger clients that pay you insane retainers, right? And that really fulfill you. And that's one of the things that I did with my agency and the way I approach my agency. So long story short, one of the things that I picked up from them that I really, really liked is we don't want to be a trend or a flash in the pan. We don't want to get in, get rich, and get out. And that's really one of the things that I loved about them. The fact that, sure, in 4 years, they've literally built a $100 million company, but they're in it for the long run. And one of the things that, as I said, they're trying to do is they're trying to be a top 5 business in the world, right? And so that is a pretty big mission, but I really do believe that thinking long-term really brought them this insane success that they are having. The second thing is revolutionary. They did not just want to be a bit better and a bit cheaper. They wanted to take a boring industry and completely revolutionize it, completely turn it upside down. And that is one of the reasons why they were so successful, because they were able to think differently and to ask questions, why is this done this way, right? Can we do it this way instead? Can we just completely switch the whole script upside down, right? And do it our way? That's really one of the keys of a truly successful e-commerce brand. The fact that they think differently and they take an existing thing, right? For example, teeth whitening products have been around for a long time, but they completely revolutionize the whole market, the whole industry. So that is the second thing. And the final thing is consumer behavior. So they have a very good understanding of consumer behavior and market trends. So they knew exactly where the brand aligned in the market. They were a student of the market and they consistently took a look at the data, see what was coming back from the ads, see what was resonating with the market, and then, iterate according to feedback. And that is extremely valuable for both agency owners. If you're not having this approach for your outreach and seeing what lands best on your ideal target market, which are really your prospects, then you're not going to be as successful. And the same thing applies for e-commerce. If you're not taking a look at the data from your ads or the data that's coming back from your influencer marketing campaigns, then you're simply going to get buried by brands like these who actually take a look at the data. So guys, that is it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed this breakdown. If you did, drop a big thumbs up. It really helps a ton with the algorithm and I'd really appreciate it. Let me know if I should continue doing this series and really dissecting everything that really successful e-commerce brands have done to get to where they're currently at. The final thing is, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, there's so much content coming out on entrepreneurship and a 360 approach to social media marketing agency with a specific focus on sales, outreach, and e-commerce. So if you don't want to miss that out, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And as always, I hope everything's going well in your entrepreneurship journey, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.